I didn't do what I did for you to spoil you. I did what I did for you to give you a better opportunity.
Big Daddy Kane just said something about Jay-Z and Tupac that nobody saw coming.
Me and Pac went in the studio and did a song together. Little dudes.
Outlaws.
Yeah.
Outlaws.
They came, like, as soon as we got there, they came up to Pac.
As much money as Jay-Z has, he still hasn't accomplished what Tupac accomplished before he was at 25 years old.
True, Tupac, he really had an issue with Jay-Z. He really didn't like him then.
Not at all.
The untold cost of a legacy, Jay-Z is hailed as one of the greatest to ever touch a mic. A billionaire mogul, a cultural icon, but behind the sold-out tours, platinum plaques, and Rock Nation empire, there's a different story, one that hip-hop rarely talks about.
Jay was opening for Kane, freestyling on stage, rapping in his crew's cypher, but as Jay got bigger, Kane's name started to disappear from the narrative.
It's the story of how Jay-Z's rise wasn't just about talent, but about timing, silence, and stepping over the very legends who cleared the path for him. Because before he became Hav, he was the understudy of Big Daddy Kane and the rival of Tupac Shakur.
So Kane helped put Jay-Z on and gave him his big break. That's not even up for debate. Pac was firing warning shots, calling out the industry, calling out fake players, and yes, throwing shade at Jay.
This is the story of how Jay-Z didn't just borrow flows, he buried them, and the cost was more than anyone realized. Kane built the stage Jay performed on. In the early 90s, Big Daddy Kane wasn't just a rapper, he was the blueprint, suave, lyrical, and respected coast to coast. While Jay-Z was still an unknown kid from Brooklyn, Kane was already royalty, but Kane didn't gatekeep. Instead, he opened the door.
Jay-Z, I heard that no one really wanted to sign him when you was shopping him around the record labels.
Yeah.
He brought Jay-Z on tour, gave him the stage during outfit changes, and even helped him shop his demo to major labels. Jay spit fire, but nobody wanted to sign him. They said his flow was too fast, too dense, too risky, but Kane believed. He gave Jay credibility, visibility, and cosigns when no one else would.
It wasn't easy to sell Jay-Z because labels simply didn't like his style.
And for a while, Jay stayed in the shadow of a giant, but when he finally stepped into the light, Kane's name vanished from the narrative. Jay's silence on Kane raised eyebrows. As Jay-Z's success snowballed, Kane became a ghost in his origin story. No verses, no shoutouts, no Rock Nation brunch invites. And when Jay finally did mention him, it wasn't reverence, it was cold.
I seen what the drugs could do when you make money off it. I seen what the drugs could do when you start to abuse it and tear your whole family apart. I've been in the middle of that, of everything. Even though I was running the streets, I used to take Cam and everybody to church.
In Do It Again, Jay spit the line. Seen the same ish happen to Kane. 3 cuts in your eyebrows trying to wild out. It was subtle, but sharp. Kane's signature eyebrow slits were legendary. And to reference them like that, fans didn't hear homage, they heard a shot. Angie Martinez even called it out on air. Was Jay throwing shade at the man who gave him a platform? Kane, always poised, brushed it off. But the silence between them since, it's loud. What's even louder is what Jay didn't do. For an artist who paid homage to Biggie on nearly every album, his omission of Kane, who actually gave him his first major break, felt deliberate. It was as if Jay was rewriting his own origin story, and Kane didn't fit the new version.
Jay-Z take more than just inspiration from him and Pac, and did he build his legacy by stepping over theirs and never looking back? While Kane was opening doors for Jay-Z in the East, Big Daddy Kane stepped in and took Jay on tour during his Chocolate City run. Kane also helped shop Jay-Z's demo, recording several tracks and sending them to major labels. And based on what Kane said,
the unspoken feud with Tupac. Then there's Tupac. Unlike Kane, Pac didn't mentor Jay. He didn't even like him. Back in the mid-90s, Jay-Z was still building. Meanwhile, Tupac was a cultural force, dropping classics, making headlines, and calling out industry phonies. And according to those close to him, Pac didn't trust Jay. He saw him as another East Coast player chasing clout off Biggie's coattails. At Summer Jam, Pac's crew allegedly confronted Jay, accusing him of sending subliminals. Jay denied it, but soon after, things escalated. Pac was never one to let tension simmer. He turned smoke into fire, and with Jay-Z, the fire caught quickly. Brooklyn's finest lights the fuse. In 1996, Jay dropped Brooklyn's Finest with Biggie. The track was fire, but it also lit a fuse. Biggie's line, "If Faye had twins, she'd probably have 2 packs," was a direct shot, and Jay co-signed it by standing on the track. Irv Gotti later admitted he warned Jay not to release it. The East Coast-West Coast beef was already boiling. Adding fuel could explode everything. Pac responded with venom. On Bomb First and E Foreign Friend, he didn't hold back. He called out Jay by name, and while fans expected a response, Jay stayed quiet, publicly at least. But silence isn't always peace. Sometimes it's a strategy. Scathing, the diss that never dropped. What fans didn't know, Jay did respond. He wrote a diss track called Scathing, and according to DJ Clark Kent, he even performed it live, once, at the Apollo Theater. The lyrics were brutal, disrespectful, personal. Jay allegedly opened with, "No disrespect to the dead, but you can't say whatever to me." And the crowd, they were stunned. Why didn't Jay release it? Some say he didn't want to be seen dissing a dead man. Others say it would have damaged his brand before it was built. Either way, the fact that he saved it for after Pac's death spoke volumes. It was a move that felt more calculated than emotional. Jay knew when to move, and more importantly, when to wait. Fear, silence, and strategy. There's another piece to this puzzle. Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, claimed Jay was so scared of Pac that he refused to leave his hotel in Vegas when Pac was in town.
Pac is a lyricist. It's just that he's not one of those lyrical MCs. He spit deep lyrics that touch your soul.
Jay had a performance lined up, but when word got out that Death Row was nearby, Jay stayed locked in. Deal said Jay was waiting for clearance because he knew Pac wasn't bluffing. Jay wasn't just calculating, he was cautious, strategic. He let others burn in public while he moved in silence. Even in interviews, Jay dodged Pac questions like landmines. He'd pivot, downplay, or avoid altogether. And when he finally acknowledged the tension, it was decades later, after the danger had passed and the legends were no longer alive to speak. The rise built on ghosts. When Biggie and Pac died, the industry needed a new king. Enter Jay-Z, the survivor, the clean one, the businessman. He wasn't as raw as Pac or as hypnotic as Big, but he was smart, polished, and ready. And Diddy, he crowned him, literally. In interviews, Diddy said Jay filled those shoes. The shoes of 2 men who died while Jay watched from the sidelines. As Jay's empire grew, so did the silence. Kane was forgotten. Pac became a cautionary tale. Jay rebranded himself as the face of hip-hop. But those who knew the history, they remembered. The throne wasn't just inherited, it was claimed, quietly, strategically, and at times, ruthlessly. Loyalty or leverage? The Diddy factor. Jay's alliance with Diddy also raises eyebrows. The same Diddy whose name is linked to both Pac and Big in conspiracy circles. The same Diddy whose former artists and bodyguards now speak out against him. For years, Jay stood beside him at parties, in boardrooms, on red carpets. But in 2023, when the Cassie lawsuit exploded and Diddy's world began unraveling, Jay backed away. Suddenly, the man who had been a brother became a business acquaintance. Jay claimed they weren't that close. The internet wasn't buying it. It looked like history repeating itself, a carefully timed distancing act, just like Kane, just like Pac. When the fallout came, Jay was already gone. Legacy and erasure. Jay once said, "I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman," and it's true. But what kind of business buries its investors? Kane invested in Jay, Pac challenged him, Diddy uplifted him. All three in different ways shaped him, but none are centered in the story he now tells. This isn't just about borrowing flows, it's about rewriting history, about turning giants into ghosts, and building empires on foundations laid by men whose names slowly vanished. The final question. Jay-Z is a genius, a mogul, a legend, but did he rise by erasing the legends who lifted him up? Did he study, borrow, and then bury the blueprint? And if so, is that the cost of the crown? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and stay locked in, because this story, like the silence, says more than words ever could.
Like, I'm different in New York City. I was a man long before I was supposed to be a man. If we had our back against the wall, we had to learn how to survive to get ourselves out of certain situations. By the grace of God, some kids were talented enough to end up to where we at right now. Moms used to take me and fight with the social worker. Like, I know the ins and outs of the welfare system. Like, I'm one of them babies. But nothing was promised. We didn't have anything. We didn't have a platform to bounce off of. Nobody knew financial